Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to have a look at the iPhone 10 and whether it's worth picking up in 2019. So let's get started with a brief specs refresh. Now, the iPhone 10 was released in 2017. It's Apple's first ever smartphone to come out with the OLED display. The display stands at 5.8 inches with a pixel density of 458 ppi. It's got 12 megapixel dual cameras with quad flash and a 7 megapixel selfie camera. It's got the Apple A11 Bionic chip, Face ID, 3 gigabytes of RAM. Looking at the build quality of the device, it's amazing. Apple did a fantastic job on the build quality of the device. The stainless steel band really makes it stand out. It's really nice and shiny. Although, as you use the device, this band does tend to gather micro scratches. So keep that in mind. Most of the phones will have those micro scratches. I mean, that's something which almost every product does have with wear and tear. So there's not much you can do about that. But other than that, it feels extremely well built. It really feels like a tank. Check out Jerry Rig Everything's iPhone 10 durability video. You'll really see how durable this device is. It's a fantastic build quality. Coming to the display, as I said, it's Apple's first ever OLED display, and it's a really nice one. It's not going to be it's really bright. It gets really bright outdoors. It's got true tone and all of that. But it's not going to be as vibrant and as saturated and as punchy as those Samsung displays. Even though this display was manufactured by Samsung, it's tweaked by Apple, so it's not going to be as super bright and super vibrant like the display on the Galaxy Note 9 and things like that. This display is slightly toned down. It slightly has true to life colors. So if you're someone who loves a saturated display or a really punchy one, I'm not sure whether you would prefer the iPhone 10 when you compare it to the Galaxy Note 9 or the S9 Plus. But if you're looking for a really well calibrated, excellent display, which is true to life, it is on the iPhone 10. Now, in terms of display calibration, you get the display as Apple sets it. You do not have options like Samsung gives you. You cannot change the adaptive. You cannot change the calibration of the display. It comes as is. Now, the 10 came in 64 and 256. So the current one I have is 64. In terms of app support and software support, there's not much to talk about. It started up on iOS 11, and you'll have almost another 4 to 5 years of app and software support. So you have nothing to worry about that in terms of app and software support. Coming to the camera, it's really nice. It is a 12 megapixel dual camera at the back and 7 in the front. And the iPhone 10 takes really nice photos. It takes really nice videos. It's got all of these fancy portrait lighting features. You've got 4K video and all of that. So camera, no problem. In 2019, it still holds up extremely well. Now coming to Face ID. Face ID was one of the most anticipated features before the iPhone 10 launched. And I must say, Face ID has been extremely wonderful. It's worked for me almost 90% of the time. Yes, it does fail in direct sunlight. It does fail when you just get off your bed and when you don't open your eyes completely for the device to recognize you. But other than that, Face ID works as advertised. It's really smooth. It's really quick, and it's a beautiful, simple way to unlock your phone. And I have no issues with Face ID. No issues at all. Coming to battery life, battery life on the iPhone 10 is decent in my opinion. It does have wireless charging and it does support fast charging. But if you'd like to get fast charging, you'll have to purchase that separate adapter for fast charging. So keep that in mind. It does support Qi wireless charging, so no issues with that. Overall, it depends upon your usage in terms of battery life. I usually don't use the phone a lot. I'm kind of a moderate user, so I kind of finish the day with around 20 to 30% left by the end of the day. It depends because some days I also pair it up with my Apple Watch, so then it touches 15 to 20%. So it depends on what you're doing. Other than that, its battery is fine. The only drawback is that you'll have to purchase that extra adapter if you'd like to get quick charging on the device. Now, in terms of call quality and speakers, call quality is great. It's really nice and crisp. Some iPhone owners did complain that they get this crackling noise even on the new 10s and 10s Max. So if you're picking up a 10, make sure you don't have that issue there. Otherwise, it's got dual speakers. The audio output of the device is really it's really nice. Um, so it's a great experience when you're watching YouTube videos. So no issues with that. Now, one of the most controversial topics is, does this notch intrude a lot when you're watching content? In my opinion, no, it does not. It depends on what you're doing. For example, if you're in a stock app, it's really up there, and mostly you'll be concentrating within the dimension of the display. I mean, to me, the notch hasn't bothered me a lot. Yes, you do notice it a couple of times, especially when you're watching videos. The notch slightly cuts in, but then I think you get over it within 2 to 3 days. You kind of ignore the notch. It's not something that bothers me a lot. In terms of using the device day to day, the software is nice, but I would the implementation of putting the control center right up there is slightly inconvenient, especially if you've got smaller hands and if you're using the device kind of like this. You'll have to. It's a quite of a stretch to reach all the way on the top, and most of the time you don't quite get into the control center. You'll end up pulling down. Spotlight search, even the notification center is on the other side, so that's not so convenient. But I mean, it's not something that I dislike or hate. It's a bit inconvenient for me. Other than that, the iPhone 10 still holds up extremely well in 2019. Now, in terms of getting this device, the iPhone 10 is no longer available from Apple as stock. So you cannot get them boxed from Apple since Apple doesn't produce this anymore, as it's replaced by the 10s, 10s Max, and the 10R. Now you can get this device used on eBay, or you can pick it up brand new from Amazon if you do find it, or on those different sites if you do find them. But make sure when you're picking them up that, especially when you're picking them used, that Face ID does work, because many iPhone 10s haven't, if when they go in for a display replacement, if they're not replaced by Apple, sometimes they have an issue where Face ID does not work. So things like that, make sure you clarify all your doubts regarding that, because it's kind of a complicated system, Face ID, and things could go wrong. So and these phones are not cheap. I mean, this started out on $1,000, and right now, when if you look at the used market, they are around 700 to 800, really good condition ones. You do find ones which got a slight crack. Mine does have a slight crack. I don't know if you've noticed. Right there, it's got a slight crack. So that is pretty unfortunate. Other than that, the device is perfectly functional. It's been an amazing experience, and it's totally worth picking up in 2019. The only thing you'll have to keep in mind is make sure you do your research, pick out a device that doesn't have any issues, that's working perfectly. Now, in terms of the battery issue, the battery slowdown stuff, my phone is currently at 89%, and Apple has implemented this battery performance management software from iOS 12.1 onwards. So after you update past 12.1, you will have that performance management issue. So in case your battery is not able to support that peak performance power, it will restart, and then you will get into that performance feature. But I have not updated my device, so it's still on 12.0, which I will keep it there. I will not be updating it further. Other than that, the iPhone 10 is an amazing device. Now, is it worth picking up the iPhone 10 over the 10s or the 10R? Well, in terms of the 10s, there's not a lot of difference between the 10 and the 10s. Yes, you do get the A12 Bionic and things like that. You got a slight improvement on the camera. Uh, you've got the new XS Max, which is slightly bigger, things like that. But I don't think that those slight improvements warrant the price that Apple is asking for the iPhone XS and the XS Max. So rather than picking out those devices, I highly think you just pick out an iPhone 10 and be happy, because it's still got the latest operating system. It's still got the A11 Bionic, which will be powerful for many more years to come. You have Face ID. You've got almost everything that the XS and the XR offer. So you're not missing out a lot, in my opinion, and it's value for money that counts ultimately. Um, in comparison with the 10R, I mean, I picked up the 10R in the store alongside the iPhone 10, and the 10R does feel really cheap in terms of its aluminum build. I mean, you hold the iPhone XS and the 10R side by side, you will instantly feel the stainless steel holds up. It feels extremely premium, feels really good in the hand. Whereas when you pick up a 10R, that same old aluminum feel, it feels like you're picking up an iPhone 6 or something. So in terms of build quality, any day, yes, the 10 is the best, is much better than the 10R. Also, I think the 10R is slightly thicker, and the bezels of the 10R are slightly thicker than the iPhone 10 itself. So, and also on the 10R, you get an LCD display. So, that is something which I can't wrap my head around. I mean, you might as well skip the 10R, buy a cheap iPhone 10. You will have the OLED display, you'll have slightly thinner bezels than the 10R, and you still have an amazing build quality, which is almost equal to the iPhone XS and the XS Max. So, in my opinion, I would pick the 10 over the 10R, no matter, um, even if I have to sacrifice a slight bit of performance between the A11 and the A12 and a bit of this camera improvements. I don't think that warrants the price that Apple demands for the brand new iPhones. So that's it, guys. The iPhone 10 still holds up extremely well in 2019. Just make sure you pick up a right one. You'll find really good deals on the used market, or if you can find a few new ones on Amazon, yes, go ahead. But the iPhone 10 is still an amazing choice for 2019 and will hold up for many more years to come. So I hope you like the video. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.